Well, I am so excited to share that this podcast is sponsored by The RealReal, the best place to shop authenticated luxury handbags, clothing, watches, and so much more. I'm so obsessed with The RealReal. It's one of my favorite things to scroll through at night when I have a moment to myself and find pieces for either myself or people in my life who I love and who I care about, because they have the most curated pieces of special brands and special pieces like vintage shoes, vintage belts, sunglasses, jewelry, anything you can think of, you can find it on The RealReal. You can find pieces from brands like Gucci, Fendi, Prada, Louis Vuitton, Tiffany & Co., Cartier, and so much more at up to 90% off retail. And unlike other resale sites, everything The RealReal sells is authenticated in person by a luxury fashion expert. The RealReal offers attainable luxury to upgrade your personal style. You can also sell with The RealReal. When you sell with The RealReal, they do everything for you, from photography and copywriting to shipping, pricing, and customer service, so you can just sit back and get paid. Plus, with over 40 million fashion lovers on The RealReal, your items will sell fast. The RealReal just makes it so easy. Resell is what they do, so you have time to do you. The RealReal is the most trusted name in authenticated luxury resale with over 10,000 new arrivals daily. No one does resale like The RealReal. And now get $25 off your first purchase when you go to therealreal.com/files. That's therealreal.com/files to get your $25 off. Start shopping now at therealreal.com/files.
You're crazy.
Don't forget, Viall Files Plus now offers ad-free episodes for all Viall Files episodes, including Ask Nick, Reality Recap, and Going Deeper. Plus, if you love Ask Nick, you will absolutely love our Ask Nick updates, where you get updates of your favorite calls, our deep dive on all your favorite Reality Recap TV shows, and our pop culture roundups, where we talk about all your favorite pop culture topics that we didn't get to in this week's episode, plus deep dives on our Going Deeper guest, and so much more. All you have to do is go to Viall Files Plus, and you will be lucky you did. What's up, everybody? We have a very exciting announcement for all the Ask Nick audience out there. We have new Instagram and TikTok specifically for Ask Nick. So if you want to avoid all the pop culture and reality TV content that we're putting out there and just focus on all things relationship, dating, interpersonal relationships, and just Ask Nick content, just please give us a follow. It's Ask Nick Viall on Instagram and TikTok. So give us a follow and enjoy. We'll be glad that you did. All right, let's get to our first caller, but not before you go on and give us a follow. How's it going?
Doing good, Nick. How are you doing today?
I'm good. What's your name?
My name is Riley, and I'm 30 years old.
How can I help, Riley?
I thought I was going on a bunch of really, really bad dates, and I am noticing that I might be the problem now.
Okay. What made you notice that?
I've been single for 2.5, going on 3 years. And ultimately, I have been on a lot of dates. I've tried a lot of different types of people, different energies, their careers, whatever, lifestyles. And I am just feeling kind of defeated because nothing seems to be like a good fit.
Okay.
But I'm noticing this reoccurring avoidance and commitment problem.
From you?
Yeah,
from yourself?
Myself.
Okay. You said you were single for like 2.5 years. What did that last relationship look like?
So my last relationship was very happy. We were super loving with each other, had a great time. We're best friends, adventured a lot together. But ultimately, I was just sat down on a very random day and told that he wasn't happy anymore. And I kind of had to pry it out of him that he was breaking up with me.
Sure.
And so it came pretty suddenly after living together, planning out our life together, deciding that we wanted to have a future as far as marriage goes and things. And so...
Was it devastating for you? Were you like, I kind of see what you're seeing and maybe it wasn't so bad? Like what was that like for you?
It was pretty earth shattering, honestly.
Okay.
It came out of left field. I was not expecting it. We had been in couples counseling just to like adjust to living together because he was super introverted and I was really extroverted. And so just trying to understand how those styles can mesh within a household. But then like maybe a month before this, we had both come to the agreement that therapy was going great and maybe we take a pause on it and just keep implementing what we had been implementing because we were both really happy.
How did you process that breakup?
Not well at all. We tried to be friends because, like I said, we were best friends during our relationship. That we tried to be friends, and ultimately, it was almost like he was my boyfriend without him being my boyfriend, just helping me out still and like showing up and whatnot and emotionally being there.
How long did that last?
God,
He offered
way
to
too
be
long. It was like,
he offered to be friends to feel less bad about breaking up with you, and you accepted the invitation to be friends in the hopes that he would change his mind and you could win him back. You know what I'm saying?
maybe. I think I was pretty certain that he was done. He's never gone back to a relationship, so I had accepted that we were done, but I was a little delusional and hoping that we
Yeah,
actually could be friends.
I'm sure you probably, you weren't delusional in the sense that you were like, I can definitely get him back. But like, I don't think deep down, if you truly believe that there was no hope, you would have, you know what I'm saying? Like, so how long did you guys pretend to be friends?
For like maybe 3 to 4 months,
Okay.
so
And
quite a
then,
while.
and then what happened?
He started dating somebody that was in our friend group and told me about it, and that's when I decided that we could no longer be friends.
So it's almost like 2 breakups in a way. Kinda felt like?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess so.
And then how did you deal with that?
Not well. I definitely obsessed over it. I
Yeah.
thought about it constantly.
Where are you now with it?
So, now I don't miss him. Like, I very much accepted that we are not each other's people,
Okay, that's good.
and that was not a good path to go down long term. However, I am still hurt by how that went about, and I think I'm really scared to
Hurt.
commit to anybody
How are you hurt?
because it was so sudden and unexpected. I have a really, really hard time trusting other people and trusting myself. So I feel betrayed. I wish he could have been a little bit more clear, maybe leading up to that he wasn't happy or maybe even honest with himself. So
Sure.
now, yeah,
I
I
mean,
have a really hard time trusting.
well, how much in terms of you guys not being for each other? Like, you totally believe that? You totally feel that?
I believe that. I would like to have a person that emulates similar qualities, just as far as like wanting to do similar hobbies, has a very light, excited, carefree spirit.
Yeah.
But I don't want him at all because I've realized he has some deep seated issues if he couldn't communicate with me.
You're basing that solely on how he broke up with you?
There was other things. I mean, he lied to me. So him and I both are sober and haven't drank for years. But he lied to me about how long he had been sober because he was afraid that I would judge him for that and run away. He didn't want to spend like Christmas with a lot of people. Like he was very limited on his ability to be with other people during the holidays. So there's definitely things that I really don't think long term would have been a good fit.
Okay. Listen, I think obviously that breakup affected you in a way that I think is, meaningful. And quite honestly, almost kind of sounds like there's still like some leftover debris from that breakup that still affects you. But, I don't necessarily suggest you like spending more time and energy thinking about like why you shouldn't be together. But like, did you get individual therapy, like in terms of just dealing with that breakup and processing that loss and moving on from it?
I got into therapy a lot later than I probably should have because I think in the moment I thought I was handling it well, but hindsight's 2020 and I wasn't. So maybe about a year and a half ago, I started going to therapy and I was a lot more like cagey and guarded than I had normally been in therapy before. Normally I'm a pretty open book and it took about like 9 months for us to actually talk about anything substantial.
Do you still find yourself thinking about how he broke up with you?
Absolutely. Yeah. The how I think is what's hardest.
But if he's not your person, why does the how matter? Why does the how matter? I don't know if that makes sense. But why is how he broke up with you matter?
I guess it shouldn't then. I mean,
Have you ever been in a tough situation where you just were a little bit confused about your feelings and then you knew that those feelings might affect other people, but at the end of the day, it's how you felt and you weren't really sure how to communicate it, and maybe you tried your best to communicate it the most honest and effective way, but like you were also a little confused about like knowing that it would hurt someone else, and have you been in that position?
Yeah, definitely since that breakup, I've been in that
Yeah. Okay.
position
Okay.
at least a few times,
Sure. Okay. All right.
where I'm probably now the one that's super suddenly cutting things off.
But I just want you to think about that because it sounds like you've spent a lot of emotional time and energy not being able to get over how he ended things. And you spent a lot of time and emotional energy ruminating about how he lied to you, which is not untrue, but I think you're probably painting a narrative that's probably a little harsh, both to yourself and to him. And ultimately, like, what does it accomplish? And I think there's a level of forgiveness that would benefit you, just like letting go of that relationship. I mean, you're only 30, you have a long life ahead of you, and relationships are complicated. It sounds like, just from what I'm hearing, you've really, like, again, you were victimized and you were hurt, and that was a very difficult time for you, but you have not let go of that pain, and you have kind of sulked in it a little bit. And I've been for different, I've been in your position before, and I remember, and I started using the feeling of I love to hurt so good. You kind of get comfortable with that pain, it almost becomes an identity. Like when I was in your position, feeling wronged by former partners, I held on to that like an identity. It was, I would, especially when I was in my lowest, I would, anyone who would talk to me, I would, oh boy, I had a story to tell. And that story was, it was like this Greek tragedy and I was the victim in that story. When I told that story, I wanted people's sympathy, and I kind of became addicted to that. It really became who I was. This person who was wronged by their partner, lied to, misled. All I was ever doing was chasing love and trying to be a good partner. And then this person just couldn't be honest with me about their feelings, But the reality is, he was honest with you. He broke up with you. Like, how he got there, probably a little like not as clean as you had hoped. But at that time he broke up with you, you loved him. You thought you wanted a life with him. There was just no version of him breaking up with you that was going to be like, cool. Yeah, actually, no, I get it. I'm totally, there was just no version of that. Right. And
Sure.
I'm not saying he deserves a pass, and I'm not saying he probably could have done things better, but it's kind of gotten to that point where you've given him too much power, and it's really got it in your head to the point where now you are feeling it affecting your dating life going forward. And it sounds like you maybe haven't really fully forgiven him, or yourself. It is still something that you think about from time to time.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We've had to see each other a lot recently. We haven't seen each other in about 2 years, but we had a mutual friend who unfortunately died.
I'm so sorry.
And so, thank you. We went to the memorial, and I knew I was going to probably run into him there. And it's just been a lot of accidentally running, not accidentally, but like having to run into him lately. And yeah, I do have anger towards him still. Like, I have anger towards his now new wife, like I really
Why?
struggle. Why with them or her?
Yeah, sure. Specifically her, but yeah.
With her because we were becoming friends, and then she ended up going and dating my ex.
But they're now married.
We did a lot of, yeah, no, for sure. I mean,
Well, there's only
she's not
two.
mine.
There's two possible outcomes of that relationship. Either they are truly happy together, and that's how it should be. And despite your ego feeling a certain way about it, he's not your guy, and you didn't lose. It's just how things played out. Or they're wrong, and eventually they'll have an even messier breakup than you had with him, and her time will come, so to speak. Either way, the energy that you are, you have to see it this way, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you feeling any type of hatred towards her it's hurting you. It's sucking, literally sucking energy out of you that doesn't do you any good, and in fact probably causes harm, right? Like that's not energy you're putting into yourself in a positive way. And yeah, I can't help but wonder if, like, with how can you date with so much anger that you're holding on to still?
Yeah, I mean, it seems almost impossible especially with my experiences.
Why do you say impossible?
I guess just anytime that I do feel like I like someone or have the potential to like somebody, I get totally freaked out and run away. Or I start nitpicking and finding reasons why they're not my person very easily.
But I mean, do you think it's impossible for you to move on from this anger that you have?
No, I don't think it's impossible to move on from it. I think it's impossible to like be happy and find my person being angry.
Definitely making it harder for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I think you got to try to let go. It would seem, yeah, I mean, I would agree with you. It'd be very difficult for you to truly move on and find your person when you're still hanging on to some bad feelings that are 2 years old for a person who's moved on. And that's the problem with you not processing this loss in an effective way, is that like he has since moved on. It's been a reasonable period of time. He is literally married now. And because you've held on to this anger, now when he's moving on, it still feels like a fuck you to you. You know, this guy's just living his life. You know, it's not fun. The finger, it's like you weren't friends with her. You were becoming friends with her. You were friendly with her, and the reality is that like if the roles were reversed, you would have done the same thing. If your heart was healthy and you had and you met a guy and you had this acquaintance, it's like you wouldn't say no to a love interest because of an acquaintance that used to date someone, nor would you be expected to. Would you agree?
Yeah, it sounds silly when you say it like that.
It's not silly, but it's all personal. Like, listen, like this is your life, right? Like you are the main character in your life. And I think that's just something to be cognizant of, is that in your story and how you're telling the story to yourself, you were wronged and you haven't had to be too delusional or make too many leaps to be like, yeah, it's fucked up what he did. It's fucked up he started dating my friend, and it's fucked up he married her. And it's like, it was bad enough he broke up with me and wasn't on with me. Then he couldn't just, he definitely doesn't see it that way. And a lot of people don't, but like you do, because that's the story you've been telling yourself.
Yeah, I'm just processing a lot of what you're saying.
Are you still in therapy talking about this stuff?
I am, yeah. We have really
What do you guys talk about? Have we talked about any of this?
So oh, absolutely.
What does your therapist say?
So she has made it aware to me that I have quite an avoidant attachment style.
What does that mean to you? I've heard of avoidant attachment style, but I'm just wondering what that means in relation to everything we just talked about. Like, because again, I'm not an attachment theory expert. I understand the concepts and I think they're interesting, but I don't know what that has to do. You know what I'm saying? It's a general question. I'm not denying it, but it's just more talking to you for 5 minutes. It seemed pretty clear that breakup fucked you up. It's still fucking you up. And it is taking a lot of your emotional energy, and it's energy that's making you, it's negative energy. And I don't know how that doesn't affect people. To me, that's the thing that I would love for you to process. Again, I've related to your experience, right? And I've been in your shoes. And I remember when I was doing the thing that I think you're doing now, I was a victim in my story, right? I was in my main character version of the reality that was through my perspective. I was wronged. That was the narrative. When I would talk to like my lady friends at work, I wanted their sympathy. I told the story through isn't this fucked up? I couldn't have seen it coming. I did everything I could. I fought for this. They didn't. Yeah, and it's just long past it mattering, And it wasn't until I finally was like, I had to stop, right? And those thoughts don't just magically go away. But when they do pop in, it's literally telling yourself to kind of get over it, to just be like, all right, I can't keep thinking this way. Listen, we're not supposed to be together. And telling yourself you're happy for them. Or if you can't get them out of your head, it's like you fake it till you make it. It's being happy for them. When I felt wronged by a girlfriend, the first time I got engaged briefly and then moved in together and felt blindsided, when she got engaged, I don't know, like 9 months later to the guy. And I ran into her. I was like, at first I didn't totally believe it, but I was like, I'm really happy for you. I mean, like, yeah, I realized I really didn't want to be with her. I knew she wasn't for me. My ego was still bruised, but I really had to like change that narrative in my head. And I had to like, say it out loud. And when people asked, I stopped being sad and the victim. And if people offered me sympathy about that, I was more like, you know what, I don't need that sympathy anymore. I'm good, like, and I wasn't always good at first. I think that stuff goes a long way. I think, like saying things to yourself matters. Like the pictures we paint in our head are our reality. The things we tell ourselves become our reality. So if you tell yourself you're not okay, it's hard to feel okay. If you tell yourself this is the right thing for me, even if I don't feel right now, you'll eventually get there. And I just feel like it's like for the past 2 years, you've been telling yourself you're not okay. What has your therapist telling you that you're an avoidant attachment? How has that helped you?
I guess what has helped me is like now we're starting to have conversations about understanding how I am in relationships with other people, not even just like romantic, but even like friendships and family and whatnot. And we're trying to figure out how to like communicate that to another person.
Can you give me an example?
We've just started going down this path, so I don't have a ton to reference, but essentially, like, I really struggle like sticking it out when I get uncomfortable, and I tend to want to flee rather than communicate what's going on with me, and that like what I'm needing in those moments, or just like letting somebody know what's actually happening rather than cutting and running because that's what's comfortable.
Just out of curiosity, any of these men you're kind of referring to that you've cut and run, do you regret any of them? Do you miss some of them? Do you feel like you fucked up?
Yeah, I mean, one of them for sure. I feel like we had a really good thing going. It was so recent after like my ex and I broke up. It was only maybe 6 months after that. So it was still pretty soon. But the moment that I had a reason to run away, he like isn't the biggest fan of dogs. And there was a big elephant in the room because I have a dog. And he's a very hairy dog and a very needy dog. And there's a lot of things about him being a dog. And so the second that I found out he's not a big fan of dogs after dating for like 3 months, I just like cut and run. And I think I had a very big attitude of like, nothing's going to change my mind. Like, this is what's right.
Did he try to stop you from ending it? Did he fight for you?
No, because he told me, I can tell that you're really serious and nothing I say is going to matter. It's like I have a lot of things I would like to say, but I don't think anything's going to matter. And I walked out the door.
And what about any of the other guys?
More recently, like literally as of this last week, I ended things with somebody, very great person. I don't think there's anything wrong with him, but I just keep believing that we're not compatible.
Why?
A lot of my reasons are kind of silly and ridiculous.
Like,
he wants to be helpful and starts giving me tips on how to run my business. And he wants to like be helpful and send me things throughout the day, like food and coffee and whatever that I never asked for. And it just feels overwhelming. And so I push him away. And he lives in another state.
Are you asking for help to run your business? I mean,
no.
Is it helpful what he's doing?
No, I typically already know what he's telling me, so then it makes me feel like he thinks I'm stupid.
Yeah, so kind of mansplaining to you and feels a little condescending.
Yeah, although I feel like I could maybe communicate that.
Okay.
Looking back, and I don't know, maybe that's just who he is, and that's how he would be in an entire relationship. But
I mean, listen, I think
I
think it's great for you to identify that you probably could be better at communicating some of these little potential pet peeves, that you are seeing as non-negotiables. But I also just like wonder if maybe none of these guys were maybe your guy. I don't know.
How do I determine if somebody is my guy? Like, I have lists and things of what I would like, but
well, I mean, listen,
I would love to have a partnership one day.
Without being able to spend too much time with you on the phone, I feel confident in saying you got some work to do when it comes to still healing from that breakup. And I think, and just correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm saying anything out of pocket, but I still think you're spending a lot of, when that relationship pops in your head, and I think it does more than it should at this point, 2.5 years removed from it, you still have very negative, angry thoughts and feelings towards the relationship, towards him, towards her. And that, I think that is really affecting you in ways that I don't know if, we can fully understand. And I think that's something you should look into. I think you need to get over that last breakup still. And I think, hopefully therapy can help, and I'm sure it can. But I think a lot of it starts with you having the discipline to check your thoughts and not allow yourself to ruminate and change the narrative in your head, to stop being a victim of that story. You were wronged. You kind of have to get over it. Try to just let it. I think you have to almost say, I forgive him. I forgive them. I don't want to be with them. Like, yeah, he hurt my feelings. There's no good way to break up with someone. I was always going to be hurt. For that relationship to end, I was always going to be hurt. And that doesn't make it okay. He probably could have done better, but like you have probably relitigated what you think or what your ego thinks he should have done to make it less hurtful for you, and you just keep replaying that movie in your head. Imagine what you could have done for your business, with all that energy you've invested in that. And it comes to just not needing your ego's validation to say, yes, you were wronged. You were like, you deserve to be sad. Why aren't people understanding how great you are? And why aren't more people feeling sorry for you? And I think there's that voice in our head that wants that, compassion when we're hurt. I think it's become a bit of an identity to you where you have to change that. You have to look in the mirror and see it, not the person who was hurt by him,
Yeah, I agree with that.
You have this
I guess,
business, you're doing these things. You have to get better at being kinder to yourself and knowing you deserve better, and you're doing great things, and seeing that relationship truly as something that needed to end.
yeah. I mean, I know I'm a lot better off. I would have never had this business and
So wait, you wouldn't even have
had
had this
different.
business if this relationship didn't end?
Yeah, probably not. I think I feel like I've gained a lot of independence, and
When was the last time you said that out loud to yourself?
a few weeks ago, I mean, I do acknowledge it.
When?
But I guess I need to give it more power.
A lot more power. So much more power. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, I'm a totally different person than when I was in the relationship. I told myself I couldn't live in the city alone. I couldn't have this business that I dreamed of having. I couldn't do all these things. And then
the fact that you can tell this story in such a vivid way where I can feel how sad that breakup made you feel. But in the reality, that breakup led to you having your own business, opening up a lot of doors in terms of it eliminated some limiting beliefs that you had about yourself. And yet that is not the narrative that in your head is something you should work on. And when you can master that, I think attachment theory and all that aside, I think I would be surprised if your heart wouldn't be a lot more in a better place to receive and give love.
for sure, I can definitely focus on the negative more than the positive at times.
Well, I'd challenge yourself to do that. And a lot of it is, again, it's having those kind of, say it to yourself, repeat it to yourself. You have to be tougher on yourself when it comes to the narratives you have in your head.
Totally. And I think sometimes what feeds into the negative mindset is definitely the drama aspect. Like you've said, I will admit that I'm a hairstylist. So when people ask what's going on with your dating life, it's a lot more exciting and entertaining. And I can pretty much have a script of the rundown of what's happened since their last appointment, and
Let them vent to you and let them, yeah, but you be the listener. Don't relate to their pain. And when they're venting to you about ways in which maybe their life isn't happy, be mindful about again, not relating to their pain, but give yourself that acknowledgement of I know what it's like when you talk, I'm several years removed. I can be like, yeah, I know what it's like to have been in your shoes, but I am so grateful I don't think the way you're thinking right now. And I'm so glad I've been removed because, like you, I wouldn't be sitting here today if some of those relationships didn't end. I mean, my life would be a lot different, in the worst possible ways. And, you have to free yourself of this narrative. And again, actual tangible energy. This thing I talk about all the time is like how much you're not giving this away. It's literally costing you, even if it's just time. And then, yeah, I can only imagine how subconsciously it is impacting your decisions about the men you're dating and, triggering your attachment disorders and things like that. But I would try to focus on the narrative in your head.
Agreed.
Was this helpful at all?
Yeah, I mean, I think I had already overcome some hurdles that sometimes you disclose to people, and that's what's challenging is being like, oh, you got to look internally. But I think it's good to hear a different perspective of how I need to look internally and where maybe might be helpful to heal from.
Yeah, you got a lot of things to be proud of about what you've accomplished and what you're doing, and I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit. You got to let go of that girl who was wrong. You got to, you got to forgive it. You got to let that, I don't know, some kind of ceremony or something, but you got to let that, truly though, you got to let that go. You got to try to let it go.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
A new year, colder days. This is the moment your winter wardrobe really has to deliver. And if you are craving a winter reset, start with pieces truly made to last season after season. Quince brings together premium materials, thoughtful design, and enduring quality so you can stay warm, look sharp, and feel your best all season long. We've talked a lot about their Mongolian cashmere sweaters. We do it because they're awesome and comfortable and look great. They also have a great outdoor coat selection, wool coats, leather, and suede outerwear that is truly made to last. They look stylish. It's amazing. If you haven't checked out Quince yet, you're truly missing out. Also, you have the peace of mind that Quince ethically sources their material so you can have the peace of mind that you are wearing some really high quality pieces that are made right. They also have luggage. They're expandable carry-on suitcases, ultra light with super sturdy polycarbonate shell, interior compression panels, and a removable laundry bag for your dirty clothes. I also just recently got Nally their organic Turkish waffle robe woven from 100% organic long staple Turkish cotton and inspired by the classic style found in spas across the globe. Generously sized, lightweight, super soft, and highly absorbent. She's absolutely in love with it. I steal it all the time, especially when River wakes up at night. I put that robe on. Keeps me warm and cozy as I put my daughter back to sleep. Refresh your winter wardrobe with Quince. Go to quince.com/VIALL for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's Quince, QUINCE.com/VIALL. Free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/VIALL. How's it going?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good. What's your name?
My name is Gabriella, and I am 27 years old.
How can I help, Gabriella?
Should I break up with my boyfriend, or am I just being dramatic?
Why are you considering breaking up with your boyfriend?
So there's a couple of reasons. So I made a pros and cons list, if I can just go through that with you.
Love it. How old are you again?
27.
How long you guys been together?
I want to say 4 months now, but he is an ex. So we dated previously.
How long did you previously date?
It was about 6 months the last time.
And how long are you separated for?
4 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we didn't talk at all in that time.
Okay. And then how old is he?
He is 30.
Okay. All right. Let's hear this pros and cons list.
Okay. So the pros was
pros for staying together or pros for breaking up?
Pros for staying together.
Okay.
And cons are why I would want to break up with him.
Understood.
So the pros are, so he was a little messy, but I had a conversation with him and he was very receptive. So he has gotten better. So like, for example, he's a pilot and I do events for a living. So I'm home a lot more than he is. And when he leaves, I take that opportunity to like fully clean the apartment.
You guys live together?
I stay with him. I want to say maybe like 5 days out of the week. So that's more than when I am like alone.
You're playing house.
Pretty much. Okay. Yes. Right. And we also have 2 dogs. So I kind of just
We have 2 dogs?
He has his dog, I have my dog, and we bring them together.
Understood.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I clean everything, and then whenever he came back, it was an issue of like he would just leave his clothes on the floor. I would wipe down the kitchen and everything, and he plays video games till like 2, 3 in the morning and like leaves a plate in the sink and like chips are out, like just stuff like that. And I just could not do that. So we had a conversation. He was good. He's gotten better. He puts his laundry away every time I just do it. I kind of just like I fold it for him, but he puts it away. He does not leave plates in the sink overnight anymore. He washes them now. Another pro is like he just comes from a good family. I've met his family. Like we get along well. Very nice. Like I think they would get along with my family. He also like doesn't go out. He's not like a party guy. He stays at home most of the time. So those are the pros. The cons. I feel like I have to explain to him regularly how it is that I want to be treated, which I feel like these things are kind of like not that I want him to read my mind, but it's like you should know that like I want to go on dates, right? Like I want to go on dates every now and again. That's not something that we just do in the beginning and then now it just kind of like fades away and we don't go out anymore. If he gets like frustrated, he yells a lot and I am not a person that likes that. I don't like to be yelled at. I don't like to take any like disrespect. I am able to like communicate how I feel. I feel like calmly. And if I can't, I don't know, like I go for a walk or I do something to get my mind out of that headspace. He does not do that. He like literally just goes from like 0 to 100 and like yells at everyone, even the dogs. And I'm like, what do the dogs do? But anyway, that's like another thing. I just feel like he cannot effectively communicate how he feels. I don't feel like I'm being valued, especially when I do those things. Like I am cooking for him. I am cleaning for him when he's gone because it's something that I want to do to like make his life easier. And I feel like he doesn't do that or reciprocate that for me in any way. Yeah, I just feel like in that sense, he is like a little selfish. It's always like me. Like I work a lot. I'm tired. I'm this, I'm that. And I'm like, okay, like I work, I go to the gym, like I cook, I do my meal prep. I'm also in the process of becoming an officer for the Navy. So I just submitted my application. So like there's a lot of stuff that's going on over here too. It's not just like your life and everything that you're dealing with. Oh, and there was this one incident. This one's a little crazy, I feel like. I was cleaning the closet, the guest bedroom closet, and I found like a bag of like photos and notes of him and his ex.
Okay.
And I kind of like, honestly, I wanted to put it out on the counter just so he can like see that I saw it, but I sat on it for a couple days. And then I had a conversation with him and he basically said like, oh, I didn't know that was there. Like my mom cleans pretty much like the apartment when I'm not here, whatever. Like I had no idea. So I'm like, okay, cool. Can you just like throw it out? Because like, why would you have that there? So anyway, he's like, yeah, I'll throw it out. Never throws it out. So one day I asked him to take out the trash and I kind of just put all the trash together and I took the stuff that was in the guest bedroom in that little bag or whatever. And I put it next to the trash. And he's like, oh, like, what is this? And I'm like, that's the stuff with you and your ex that you said you were going to throw away that you never threw out. So those are some cons.
Did he throw it out?
He did. Yeah. I watched him throw it out, but it's like, why am I telling you and watching you and having to like hover over you to do this?
Have you
why
ever,
didn't you just,
you don't have any memorabilia from past relationships?
I do. However, they're not like physical items. Like I have maybe a couple photos on my phone that like I just haven't gone through to like go and delete, but it's not something that I physically have like with me, you know?
Why not? What do you mean you don't physically have it? It's literally on your phone. You're carrying it around with you.
I feel like it's different when you have like these wooden frames or like little love notes that you guys wrote each other.
Do you think he's like reading them?
I don't think he's reading them because I spend a lot of time with him and I can see what he's doing. But at the end of the day,
Why haven't you deleted those photos from your phone?
I guess I just haven't like, there's a lot of photos on my phone that I need to delete that I haven't deleted. You know, it's not just.
But why haven't you deleted them?
I just haven't taken the time to like go in my phone and delete it all.
But like, you've seen them, right? I'm guessing you've, for a variety of different times, have looked for old pictures and you've kind of scrolled through, right? Like you've done this thing and then you've like, oh, there's that photo. Oh yeah. And you just kind of keep going. You're like, oh, you see an old photo and it kind of reminds you keep going. But like, why not stop and take the literal half a second it would take to delete any of these photos?
I feel like I have for some of them, but not for all of them because it would take a lot longer than just like a second. You know, it would take me a long time to delete them all.
Like, listen, like we'll get into the other stuff, but specifically just talking about the memorabilia, whatever. I think that's one of those situations where we have a lot of double standards about when we see that, right? When you see that of your boyfriends, you internalize it, and then you know, like you have a feeling about it, right? It's hard. I totally get why you see it, but then you assume why you know or why you think he's hanging on to this. And then when it's you know or don't know, you know, it's like when I'm asking these questions, why haven't you deleted it? The truth is, you're probably like, I don't fucking know. I just really giving much thought to it. And I certainly I don't have feelings for this person I used to be, but it was a part of my life. And I don't know. I don't feel like erasing that part of my life because I know deep down I don't care about this person. I'm not like pining over it. I'm not like reminiscing over this photo that's in my phone. It's just like, I don't know. It was a part of my life. You know, it was a lived experience that I had. And I'm guessing that's why you haven't deleted those photos, because they're not affecting you. They're not like, you know what I'm saying? And the way that you kind of like worry that it could be affecting him, you know it's not affecting you to have these old photos. And like, I just think sometimes we just like, we don't want to eliminate parts of our life. You know, it's easier to hang on to things, not because we need, you know, it's like, I doubt very much that your boyfriend's hanging on to them because like, he's just in case we get back together. No, it's just more like, I don't know. That was just like, literal memorabilia from his life.
Yes, but I feel like if I found it and we had a conversation and you say you're going to throw it away, but then you don't, it's kind of like,
Maybe,
if he went
yeah.
to my phone and he was like, hey, I saw these photos of you and your ex. Why do you still have those? They make me uncomfortable for whatever reason. I would have no problem deleting them.
Maybe. Yeah, I guess I get that. But it just, I don't know. It's just kind of sometimes weird to feel like you're eliminating something. And you guys have only been dating for 4 months and you've made a really long list of why you should break up with them. And I'm going to be honest, it sounds like you're going to break up with this guy. Your list of cons are far more, well, it's a longer list. And that list is a lot more like your pros were like, you know, he took a note about dishes and his family's nice. Your cons were like, he doesn't make me feel good. And I'm just objectively, you know, it's just like, you know, this guy's about to throw out parts of his life for someone who's about to break up with him.
I mean, is that like crazy though? I think the things that I would want, like I would want to be made feel special by my boyfriend, is that like, am I being dramatic in that sense, you know?
Just talking about the photo memorabilia stuff, do I think you're being a little, I mean, dramatic's a tough word, but I think that's the least of your concerns. And I think I'm just focusing on this because I think it's very relatable. You know, I think anyone listening, we've all, like, I've been you've, you know, like, you know, we've all been triggered by this types of stuff, right? I've been in your shoes. I have felt how have you felt? I'm, you know, having been removed from it, I think we can all realize when in those situations, I think we often have a double standard that like what we say we think it could mean and why we think it's fucked up that this person hasn't got rid of X, Y, or Z. But when we hang on to something, I think it's much easier for us to give ourselves grace as to why we don't it's not because we're obsessed. It's not because we haven't let go. It's not because we, you know, it's just like, I don't know. It's just like, it's like memorabilia from your life in a weird kind of way. So I think in general, like, you know, you've only been in this guy for 4 months. I think the fact that you guys got back together 4 years, I mean, that was a whole 4 years ago. That's like a whole different people. That's a whole, like, it's almost like a complete reset, right? And then, you know, you've been dating for four months, which is no time at all right? And you're essentially living together. You're saying things, our dogs, you know, and things like that. And quite honestly, like, I mean, like video games till 2 in the morning is a bit much, but the things that are irritating you sound like pet peeves, but they feel like non-negotiables because again, like the way you're describing your relationship, you're describing it as like two people who are living like they've been together for 5 years. And you're kind of playing, you're playing house. And yet, and rightfully so, some of the little things that you realize that he does early in this relationship, and you're going to learn more things that he does, are kind of annoying. And the things that you find obnoxious and annoying, you know, honestly sound annoying. But they, you know, you don't have the, you know, you skipped the honeymoon phase and you went right into like being annoyed he plays video games and leaves the dishes in the sink. And he doesn't take you out on dates. But like, I don't know, you're also just like living at his house and like sharing dogs and like playing house. And you're not dating each other. You're not courting. He's just like, yeah, this is my girlfriend, you know, like part of building an emotional connection early in dating is just like almost not having that security early on is a good thing. right? It makes us like wonder if they let, makes us kind of keeps us on our toes, and things like that. And that's just kind of a human thing.
So how would you suggest then that we kind of, let's say if I don't break up with him, right, and I want to stay with him, should I just like take my stuff out of the apartment and just say, hey, like I'm taking my stuff. I think we should just go back to like dating how we did in the
I
beginning?
don't think it has to be so drastic in that where it feels like a step back. But I think, you guys could sit down and say, I think, we've only been dating for 4 months and we're kind of playing house. I think we need to like slow down a little bit. And I probably should spend more nights at my apartment than I spend at yours. Like it can be this gradual thing. And you can say like, listen, I want a date, like you don't, we've been in it 4 months and you don't even like, he just has so much access to you early on.
Yeah.
You're acting like a wife.
Yeah.
I
mean, I figured that's like, I don't know what he would want when we first started dating, I guess. Like,
I'm sure he probably does a lot. He probably really likes the fact that you're there a lot. And he probably likes the fact that you do a lot to take care of him. And you've probably made a lot of like parts of his life easy and convenient. So much so that he's like, I don't know. I don't need to ask her on a date. She's here.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I'm gonna tell him about that we should slow things down. As far as like the yelling, how do you think I should address that? Because literally just this morning, he was running late. And so yesterday I told him that I was gonna put the tree away. The tree is still up. And I couldn't because I went to go do my grocery shopping. Then I started my meal prep. Then my mom called me. So I went to my mom's house. Like just a lot of things kind of came up in the day. By the time that everything was done, I got back at like 7. He's landing around like 8, comes back at like 8:30. I'm making dinner for him, a separate dinner. I'm making my meal prep. I'm done with everything, but I didn't have time to put the tree away. So this morning, he's running late. He's like, oh, we have to put the tree away because his dog is literally psycho and goes to the tree all the time, breaking everything. So he's like, help me put the tree away. Da, 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 da. And starts like yelling. And I'm like, why are you yelling? Like, I literally just woke up. I'm helping you do something, whatever. And he's like, well, if you would have done this yesterday, it wouldn't have been an issue. And da, 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 da. And I'm like,
why is it your job?
Exactly. It is not my job. I'm here to help you. And it's like, I told you that things came up throughout the day that I couldn't do it and you were fine with it yesterday. Now, all of a sudden you're running late. It's your problem. So I literally said, that's totally fine. If you want to yell at me, that's okay. You can put this tree away by yourself. And I walked away and went back to the room.
What do you say?
He was just like, kind of like, not like moping around, but like kind of like mumbling under his breath, like, this is so fucking stupid. Da, 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 da. And just like yelling at his dog to move. And then he stepped on, okay, so his dog is like pee pad trained. Now, I'm not judging, but it's an Australian Shepherd. They have high temperament. That dog needs to be walked. So the dog went on the pee pad and he like stepped on the dog's like poop on the pee pad. So now he's like, oh, now I have to clean my shoes and da 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 da. Just kind of having like a crappy morning basically now because of this whole tree situation and his dog and this, and I didn't help. So I'm like in the room getting ready. I'm getting ready to go to the gym, whatever. So that whole thing happened. And then he left. He didn't say bye, nothing, just like stormed out the door and then decides to text me and says, just when you leave, I would gratefully appreciate it if you can make sure nothing is accessible to the dog. Lock the doors, fix the kitchen camera. Thanks. I'm going to be over the Gulf of Mexico, so I won't have Wi-Fi. Like, I would gratefully appreciate it. Why are you talking to me like that?
What's wrong with that?
I don't know. Like he normally is just like, hey babe, can you just do this really quick before you leave? Like, I don't know. I just feel like there's no apology. And now you want to talk to me like if like I'm like your coworker or something.
I mean, I interpreted that, and you know him better than me, that he probably felt bad for overreacting, and he was just trying to like say, I would really appreciate if you could do this. This would, listen, that's better than saying, why didn't you do the fucking tree? Which it wasn't your job, and him acting like it is your job. This is more like, listen, this isn't your job, but you would be doing me a huge favor if you could help me out. Like, honestly, I felt like that was probably an overcorrection by him. I mean, but listen, as far as the other stuff, you probably, like, right? Like we all have bad days. Some of us are a little bit more reactive than others. And I think for the most part, 90% of people, our population kind of work within this, like, I don't know, like we just all have different temperaments, but it's all like fine and okay. And sometimes we might get a little triggered and then we might act out. We might have to apologize. But like for the most part, we can be checked by our friends, our family, our partners and say, hey, like you can't talk to me that way. Whether you get that apology immediately or like they cooled out and a half a day later, like, hey, listen, Sorry. And, couples have to work through that, right? That being said, if this is something where he's not receptive to feedback, he never backs down, and it's truly just a regular thing where it's, to the point where it feels really toxic and it feels not healthy and it's never gets better. Like I guess I'm saying you just kind of have to use your common sense. So whether you feel like this temperament he has is truly like something that isn't manageable for you or him, or, is it just like, he just, you know what I'm saying? Like you'll have to be the judge of that. I think you have the common sense to know whether his temperament is manageable, and he's able to acknowledge it or not.
Yeah.
As far as the other stuff, you're just kind of playing house. And I think it's hard for you to assess this relationship because you guys are acting and living like a married couple, but you've only been dating for 4 months and you probably have a lot to learn about each other. And neither of you are taking the time to really like build that emotional connection and grow into something. And I think that would probably be helpful for you guys to do.
So just start off with the conversation of like, we should just kind of go back to dating for a bit and see how that goes. And then proceed with kind of like the way that you yelled at me yesterday just it didn't feel good. I don't like to be spoken to that in that way. And then kind of just see how things move forward from there, basically.
Yeah, but I just be careful how you communicate that, because the way you're communicating that, it sounds like you yelled at me, so now I'm moving out.
Okay. So how should I communicate that without him thinking that?
Well, I think you don't have to have them. Well, I don't think you have to have it all in one conversation. I think one, just how you guys are going about your relationship, which is like, it sounds like it's playing house a little bit, is to say, hey, listen, well, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but assuming like overall, like, hey, listen, like I like where things are going, but I think we're kind of moving in an unhealthy way. We just started dating and we're kind of already playing house, and I'm getting annoyed. And I think we're getting frustrated at each other for things that people who have been dating for only 4 months shouldn't be getting frustrated at. And we don't really have that kind of foundation. Like, it's gotta be jarring for somebody you've only been dating for 4 months to yell at you about why you didn't put the Christmas tree away.
Yeah.
It's like, who the fuck? It's like, huh?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, we've just been dating for 4 months. You put your own goddamn tree away, But like, that's weird that you guys have this comfort level to like have these demands over each other. So I think it's just trying to have a healthy, mature conversation about like just slowing it down a little bit. He's like, well, what does that mean? He's like, well, it doesn't necessarily mean anything, but I don't think I should be spending 5-6 nights a week at your house and living there. He's a pilot, so he's probably out of town. Like but like, that's the thing. Does he have a girlfriend so that when he's leaving that he has someone to take care of his dogs?
Yeah. No, here's another thing too. So he's not like a airline pilot. He does private. So he's home a lot. Like
Okay.
he will maybe fly and then come home that night, or the max he's gone is maybe like 4 or 5 days. And after that happens, he gets like a whole week off.
Okay. Well,
So he's not like, you can do some of this stuff on your own.
yeah. So anyways, it's just trying to have a healthy balance in your life. And hell, nowadays people are like, we'll date for 4 months and they barely are exclusive. You guys are like, basically have moved in with each other.
I guess it was just like the history that we already had. And like,
you dated for a few months 4 years ago.
and we probably would have stayed together, but I moved for a job.
But
And
you didn't
I
stay
was the one
together.
that ended. Yeah, because I was like, I'm in a new city. I'm a big girl. I got
That's
a big girl
fine.
job,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. But like, you weren't talking in that time.
Yeah, no, we didn't. So we got together, and it did seem like we were the same, but a little different.
So you had some familiarity with a guy 4 years ago, and in that time, you both lived different lives, and you grew up, and you learned about life, and you both changed as people. You didn't change completely, and again, there's a familiarity there that you guys have that obviously like draw you guys together and allowed you to get together. But like, you're acting as if you kind of casually dated long distance for 4 years, kept in touch, and this is just like you guys taking things to the next level.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I'll talk to him then and just kind of see where that goes.
You guys shouldn't be fighting over who's putting the Christmas tree away 4 months into a relationship.
Yeah, it just for me, it's not so much the Christmas tree. It's more so like, just why are you talking to me like that? Like I didn't do anything.
No, I
literally
know.
just
I get
woke
it.
up.
Listen, he needs to work on that. I get that, but help yourselves out, because again, you guys are fighting about shit that like married couples
Yeah.
fight about. You get what I'm saying though?
I do. I can either text him or I can wait until he comes home tonight, and I will probably be out of work maybe around like
Text him what?
just kind of like how we should maybe take a couple steps back, like what you just said, like, I like where this is going and I want to be with you, but maybe I should spend less time in your apartment with you.
Yeah. And I think you should talk to him like this is the decision you're making together. Don't you think it's a little silly that we're playing house the way it is? Like, why are we fighting over Christmas trees?
Yeah.
We just started dating. Like, why we should be in a honeymoon phase. We should be still giddy about, like, excited about going on dates and missing each other.
No, yeah. I do want that.
It's like the way you're acting now is just like you have like a shared calendar and you're fighting over, like, he didn't run the errands and pick up your prescription or something. It's just like, what?
Okay. So it seems more like a conversation we need to have in person then.
Yeah, this is, just communicate. And it's far again, like I will say your pros and cons list is a little one-sided.
Which I feel like is something I need to take into consideration.
Maybe. I mean, if you don't think this guy is, 4 months in, thinking about like how in ways he can make you happy. But again, like, I don't know, he's only been dating you for 4 months. He isn't a mind reader and like.
He also hasn't had to tell me though, like ways that I can make his life easier. Those things are just coming from like within me because I want to do that for my partner.
Do you know that you're making his life easier?
I mean, I would assume so. If he's coming home and the apartment is clean every day, he doesn't have to do anything other than just like chill and relax.
Yeah, then maybe he's just taking you for granted. Yeah, I think it's crazy you've been dating a guy for 4 months and you've been picking up his mess and making him dinner. Like,
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'll just talk to him then. I think this was pretty eye-opening actually. I guess I just probably shouldn't have moved in or just spent so much time with him in the beginning.
It's not the end of the world. I mean, again, I think a little communication can go a long way and you can get things back on track. But it's just being like, listen, yeah, it's just like we just started dating and I'm making you, I'm like your
Maid.
maid. It's like you're,
Like your mom, yeah.
That's the thing. It's just like, and we start like my boyfriend's a little messy. Like, I don't know, like what? Honestly, 4 months in, dating someone who's a little messy should be the least of your concerns because it's like, I don't know, they got their place, you got yours. You might notice something like, oh, you're kind of messy, but it shouldn't really be inconveniencing you because you should kind of still have your own independence in life. But you've just like started dating and we're like, all right, well, I'm just going to spend every night here.
Yeah. Thank you. I will talk to him. I don't know. I'm kind of nervous to see how it's going to go, but.
You guys should be able to have these types of conversations. And if anything else, not being able to have these conversations would be an indicator of maybe.
I honestly feel like if I tell him just that we'll dial it back and kind of get some stuff out of here, he might take it immediately as like, I want to break up. Like, I don't want to be with you anymore.
Well, don't communicate it that way. Don't say things like step back and ask him questions, like, hey, how do you feel like this is going? I don't want to be picking up after you and I don't want to be making you dinner.
Yeah.
Not yet, at least. And listen, if he goes nuclear, it's just like, again, if you're trying to just have a conversation and you can't have a conversation and take a note, that might be an indication that he's, I don't know, maybe not your guy.
All right. Understood.
All right.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. Keep us posted on what happens.
Okay. Will do.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. When you're in that level up mindset for your business, it's wild how much basic stuff matters, like how you talk to customers and keep your team on the same page. A cleaner, more modern setup can make everything feel smoother. Quo is the #1 business-rated phone system on G2 with over 3,000 reviews, built for how modern teams work. That's why more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams, rely on Quo to stay connected, professional, and consistently reachable. I mean, you know what it's like if you were looking for maybe a plumber or electrician and you call someone, you don't wait around for them to call back. You just go down the list. Well, with Quo, you can make sure that you have no missed calls, no missed opportunities, and your team can seamlessly collaborate all on one smart system. Quo isn't just a phone system, it's a smart system. Quo's AI automatically logs calls, generates summaries, and highlights next steps so nothing gets lost. It can even qualify leads or respond after hours, ensuring your business stays responsive even when you're finally offline. Make sure this is the year where no opportunities and no customers slip away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/VIALL. That's spelled QUO.com/VIALL. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. How's it going?
My name is Rebecca. I'm 26. And I am wondering if I should move cross country for a man who possibly chose me second.
Okay. Why do you feel like he chose you second?
So just a little backstory. I've known him for 17 months around. I met him, it was like a blind double date thing. We've been official for 10 months, and we made it exclusive like 2 months in. We're kind of like long distance. He lives in Miami. I live in New York. And so we see each other a lot though, because his family lives here.
Mm-hmm.
Like prior to like being official, because it did take like 7 months. It was kind of a cat mouse game of like, I wasn't sure if I would say, I'm not sure if I want to do the long distance. And so, I mean, that was kind of on me. But he would always ask me my timeline, and I just would just ask him back. I wouldn't answer. And his timeline, like he's 28, and his timeline was he wants to be married at 29 and have kids by 30, 32. So he was always asking those questions like about kids, marriage, like if I love him before committing. So he was, I don't know, he kind of had that mindset of dating to marry, which I really appreciate. And before becoming official, we've been on many trips. He flew me out to where he lives in Miami a bunch of times, pays for everything. It was like a fairy tale relationship, honestly. And he made it official in Puerto Rico. He invited me to a wedding, and that was like 7 months in. And during that trip, he made it official. And he would say things like, I need this to last. Like, I'm all in. I don't want to ever do this again. I'm never dating again. Like, this needs to last. Like, don't do anything stupid.
He said, "Don't do anything stupid," and he needs this to last.
Yeah, it was kind of like it almost seemed like he kept asking, "Do you love me?" before he made it official. It was kind of like, "I need you to be all in," because I don't know, he took it very seriously, in my opinion, I
Okay.
guess. He
Where
took it
where
very seriously.
where does the you feeling like your second choice come in to play?
So we were together. I mean, we made it exclusive 2 months in. But now we've been official for 2 months, and I went to another wedding in Miami that he invited me to. And after the wedding, we got back to his apartment, and that's when everything kind of blew up in front of his friends too. So this kind of happened by like the grace of God, honestly. I ended up like losing my phone as soon as I got to the apartment, and we have each other's locations. So I asked him, I was like, "Can I see your phone? I need to check my location." And he gave me the phone. And for some reason, I went straight to his notes app. Don't know why, straight to his notes app. And then I found this message that he was writing about his ex from 5 years ago. That's when they dated 5 years ago, saying you're the love of my life. Like, it would kill me if I never told you this. Like, we can make this work. We're doing everything that we said we always would do. Yeah, so that I freaked out.
How long did it go to you write this note?
So it was literally 2 weeks before he asked me to be official.
Oh, okay. So you
So
were in his life though.
yeah, we were like exclusive. We've been seeing each other for like 8 months. It was pretty serious, but it was before
Okay. Yeah.
he made it
Well,
official.
I mean, if it
But
was before you guys had met, then I would definitely like give him a pretty long leash, in the sense that like before you were before you entered his life, he could be feeling alone, and when we haven't found someone who excites us or that we see potential in, it's pretty easy to ruminate about the past and glorify the past in a way that maybe isn't accurate. Yeah, had he done that before you entered his life, I could see why it would still be upsetting to you if that were the case, but I could also be the one, if I'm, a friend of yours, I could be like, listen, like everything changes when you entered his life. But the fact that you were in his life and that you were dating and that you were kind of exclusive but not committed and he was still doing that is definitely like not great for you.
it was weird. Yeah, because it's been like 8 months in, like he's asking me if I loved him, blah, blah. We've had this future talks. We've been together so much, all these trips.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, this is after like a wedding and everything. And that's the thing. He asked me to be official 2 weeks after writing that. So I'm like, am I the backup plan? But that's not just that. So that night I ended up checking his phone.
Yeah.
I was like, let me see your phone. And I looked on his messages, I searched her name, and I found out he met up with her on one of his business trips. He was in LA. He met up with her. And so I freaked out more because in front of his friends too. But I freaked out because I'm like, I don't know. It's not like we've been talking for 2 months. Like, if this is 8 months in, we know it's a thing where we've been exclusive for since 2 months. Like, he's saying like he sees the future with me and everything. And so I found that out that he met up with her, and he said it was for closure, which, I mean, they dated 5 years ago, and he said that as soon as he saw her, the feelings were gone.
Well, that's obviously a lie.
Yeah, because I mean, I always hear you say guys don't need closure.
Well, no, everyone needs
Per
closure.
se.
Well,
Per se.
everyone appreciates closure, but like you saw the note app, and the note app was him saying he still has feelings, and he wasn't looking for closure. He was looking for reconnection.
Yeah, saying she was the one and exactly. So in my mind, well, he went into that meetup thinking she's the one, thinking, yeah, she's the one. But he told me he met up with her, the feelings weren't there, it was awkward. So he didn't feel the same way anymore. So he didn't end up telling her what he wrote in that note. But in my mind, I don't know if that's true. Like,
Yeah.
she could have
Or
rejected him. I don't know it's true. She could have rejected him.
what's your gut tell you?
I do believe him when he says that it felt awkward and that she wasn't the same person, and he didn't feel the need to say what's on the note because those feelings dissipated, he said. I kind of believe that. I mean, I didn't know what to believe, but I'm leaning more towards that. I don't think he actually shared the note. Maybe he wanted to even share the note, but he was too nervous. I could see that happening. But I don't think he confessed the feelings that he had. But then, I mean, we were already together for 2 months when I found this out, like, officially. So this was 2 months prior before making it official with me. So I was like, was I the plan B? Like, if what if you met up with her and she was exactly who you thought it would be? Like, we already had, like, 2 weeks from that meetup, we had that wedding planned to go to Puerto Rico. Like, what would have happened? And I asked him that. I was like, "What would have happened if she was that person, like, that you remembered? And, like, would you keep talking to both of us? Would you just cut me out?" And he just kept saying, "I don't know, I don't know, I don't know," which made it worse. And we've been, like, at this time when I'm talking to this about, like, with him, we've been together for 2 months. So he kept saying, like, "I don't know what would have happened. I don't know what would have happened." So
But he wants you to promise that you will never hurt him.
right.
Why are you thinking about moving at this stage?
Oh, that's a whole nother thing. I have a lot of questions for you, Nick. So after that, I forgave him. It took a while. He made it up to me. Like, he flew me back to Miami the next weekend because I wanted to visit my sister there anyways. So he sent me the flight confirmation. It was like a $900 flight and everything like that.
Why? And that made it up?
No, he made it up in over a span of few months. I mean, I totally just let it go, and since then, we've been on, like, he's taken me on so many trips. He really does treat me like gold. Like, I've never had to reach in my wallet once. He's perfect in, like, every other aspect besides these little things. Um,
So he
so
pays for shit.
yes, but also he's good in every other way. Like, the communication, we have so much fun together. Like,
Okay.
yeah. So we were in Vegas and I brought up just like a hypothetical, like, when do you see us like moving in together? Like, because we are like semi long distance and it's been like a year at that point. And he was like January 1st. And I didn't really think anything of it. Like, we were kind of drinking, whatever. But the next month, my life completely like turned upside down. Like, I totaled my car. And then on the same day, I got fired and evicted from my house
Oh my God.
on the same day. So
What happened?
bad luck, I guess, same day, all at once. So that was like 4 months ago. I've been staying with my friend, but in my mind, I'm like, I need to start somewhere fresh. And I've lived here in this small town my whole life. Didn't I didn't want to start fresh here. Like I finally have an opportunity to start fresh somewhere. So I mentioned that to him, and he would say, like, "Just come, like, with a plan. Like, come, but have a plan." And I was like, "Okay." And then it's kind of me asking him, like, "What are your concerns with me moving in?" And so he would go back and forth, and he had a bunch of concerns because he does have a roommate, and he's never lived with a girl and things like that. And so, yeah. So that's where it was kind of like a month ago, but now he's more so accepted it because honestly, I kinda just came to the decision. We came to the decision. I feel like I don't know if I convinced him, but I am moving in 2 weeks to Miami to stay with him.
Okay.
I tell him is I'm just staying with you for a few weeks until I could get a new place. And he said he doesn't like that term "staying with me" because it sounds like he's just my friend, but in a way, that's what I'm doing. I'm staying with him until I get my own apartment, which I don't think would be a big deal because he stayed with me at my place for weeks on end.
So does he believe you that you're going to get your own apartment? Does he support you that you're going to get your own apartment?
Yes, but he's back and forth.
How long ago was the WhatsApp thing?
That was, like, 8 months ago now,
Okay.
but it's still lingering. But
Why is it lingering because you haven't gotten over it, or there's just some things that pop up that remind you of it?
he's never mentioned his ex ever, that's why it came as such a surprise, like, it was blindsiding because he's just never mentioned her. He That was his first and only girlfriend, but it's just kind of like, I'm like, was I plan B? Like, is that the person
I mean,
you wanted?
hard to say. I mean, your first love, it fucks you up. It's hard to get over, you know. I think the biggest issue is how he went about it, kind of behind your back. It was still a relatively new relationship. I think the most important thing is how have you guys grown from there?
Mhm.
And do you feel like you're communicating better? Do you feel like you're building trust, you know, and a safe space for you guys to be vulnerable and just open up about things that are bothering you, you're feeling insecure about? Do you feel supported by each other? You know, in this, you know, your current situation, this sounds like a guy, you know, he's only 28. So, you know, I did a lot of the stuff that your sounds like your boyfriend does, which is like the idea of things, the principle of things, the sound of things, what it means to him, you know, does he feel emasculated or not emasculated? But at the end of the day, like, you know, you kind of have to have common sense. Right now, it seems probably a little premature for you guys to move in with each other, right? He has a roommate. You've only been dating for less than a year. You don't have a place of yourselves. You're kind of in this transitional period of your life. So there's a convenience around moving in, but that's playing a big role in why you're quote unquote staying with him because you kind of really don't have a place to go. You're at your friend's house. And deep down, you know that. And you probably would rather like move in with your boyfriend under like more organic conditions where it just like feels right, where you're both like, you've been dating for a couple years and you're both like, I would really like to live with you. And the other person's like, I would really like to live with you too. So like, and then you're both like, yeah, let's live with each other because it's what we both want to do. Right now, that's not the situation. You're trying to kind of convince yourself that it's okay to move in with your boyfriend, even though he has a roommate and even though he's kind of not sure how he feels about you moving in. And your boyfriend's kind of like, he wants his girlfriend to want to live with him, but he also, you know, has his own feelings about his girlfriend needing a place to stay. And he's having conflicting feelings, you know, and so it's the situation that seems a bit like not ideal. So I think it's just better to
Right.
be honest with yourself, you know, and who knows how things might play out, you know, like, for example, like when Nellie and I first started dating, she she lived in Savannah and I lived in LA, and we were like, all right, well, let's date. And then it was like, well, if we're gonna date, I'd rather not do long distance. And it was like, are you willing? She moved. She offered to get her own place, and then we thought about that, and I was like, it seems kind of silly because you don't really know anyone here, and I bought this house, and like, it seems like it's going to be silly. And even though like probably it's not something we would do if if we both lived in the same town, you're going to a place, I wouldn't. So we just kind of acknowledged the reality of the situation, which is like, we probably wouldn't do this if this wasn't our situation, but we're going to go ahead and do it anyways, knowing that like we're making some exceptions. And your version of like just saying, well, you're trying to be like, well, I'm just calling it staying with you. Who cares what you call it? I think it's just more you guys sitting down and saying, hey, listen, I don't have a lot going on in New York right now. I certainly don't have anything that's keeping me here. I don't even have a place. So like it would be, I can move to Miami, right? And I also can move back here. And even if we're not dating, this could be a fun experience for me. And your boyfriend, I would love him to be like, yeah, that's right. Right now your boyfriend sounds like the type of guy who doesn't want to hear that if things don't work out, this could still be a good decision for you. And that's just like an objective reality, right? But that is like triggering for your boyfriend because he doesn't want to think that you're even like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he wants you to know without a shadow of a doubt that you'll be in love with him forever. And it's like, that's just not realistic, That's not how relationships work. You can't promise them anything. You can promise them that you really like where it's going and that you are committed to making this work, and you're willing to put in the energy and the effort to make this relationship work, as long as he's also willing to do the same, and that's all you guys can do. So it's just
Right.
like it's just having more mature conversations around your guys' situation and just making the other person feel like it's like you can move to Miami mostly because of him. Knowing that it's not an ideal, like part of your situation is not ideal, knowing that you don't really have a place to go. So you probably are going to crash with him for a while, see where it goes, but know that it might be healthy to get your own place and still date without it feeling like you guys are taking a step in the wrong direction, or having him play those mental games where he's just like, part of him wants you to want to stay with him because he wants you to want to need him, while simultaneously like being weird about like his girlfriend staying at him and his roommate's place. Does that make sense?
Definitely. Yeah. And we had all these conversations too, because when I was thinking about just staying here or going to Miami, I really said, I was like, I honestly would move first to Miami for myself first, because I could see potential there. When I do visit there, I have a lot of motivation there. I have friends there. I want to move for me. So that's like first. And then obviously for the relationship too, it's been long distance, it's been a little harder. And then now he's at the point where we've had all these conversations, and it's kind of me asking him his concerns. So that's why he mentions the concerns so much. But now he's at the point where it's like, we'll see what happens. Like, we'll see. 1 month in, we'll know if it works or not. And he's like, we might just love it so much. You might not.
Maybe.
We might not want you to leave.
Maybe. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think the only thing to like figure, you just have to be able to talk through things, right? And as far as like the notes app and the ex-girlfriend, how it went down, not ideal, but I don't think it's the end of the world. And I think what's more important is how you guys have been since. And was that like just kind of a bump in the road for him personally, that he had to kind of work through that, and he needed some closure for a relationship that maybe he pined over too much prior to meeting with you, and kind of had it in his head that he would always get back together with her, and just, it's definitely believable that like he met up with her, who knows what he wanted, but like after he met up with her, it was like, maybe this is not what I expected. I don't think it's the end of the world, that notes app thing, not ideal. And again, how is your communication since, and again, you move into Miami, as long as you're not only moving for this guy, it's like, I'm not hearing a situation where you're like, I don't want to be there. Like he's the only reason I would go, and I don't even know if he wants me there. That's not what I'm hearing. Like, if you have friends there, you have a community there, you can make a life there. It sounds like you like the city. So if it doesn't work out, there's a good chance you won't run back to where you are now anyways. So get it out of your head that you're moving for him. Like, you're moving for yourself, and he's a big part of that equation. And that's exciting, but like, don't put unnecessary pressure on the move, and just be open to seeing where the relationship goes, you know?
Yeah. A thing that keeps popping in my head though, like sometimes I'm like, what if she does text him or tries to get in contact with him and wants him back? I don't know if he's, and I guess I won't know, but I just don't know if he is fully over that first love feeling and everything like that.
Have you talked to him about it?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I've asked him that. And obviously he's like, no, never. Like that ship sailed. Like she's not the same person. But I mean, I guess it's just something that over time I'll have to get over.
Yeah, or just you guys will have to get through it together, you know? I think it's more about that than you just getting over, because I think you do have the right for it to bother you, you know? He did fuck up, you know? He needs to acknowledge that he needs to help you work through this.
Yeah.
Well, he may have made an honest mistake, and maybe there's a version where it's not like so fucked up that he did that. It was like, yeah, you shouldn't have done that. And like, you know, but he needs to help you work through that and make sure that, you know, whatever he needs to do to make you feel secure in this relationship, and that you are a big priority for him, and you'll know what that is. Before you even brought up the whole Notes app thing, it sounded like a guy who, you know, has some scars from previous relationships. Like, it sounds like she broke his heart, and that fucked him up a little bit,
Hmm.
you know, and that happens
Definitely.
to all of us. I think it's just more about working on communication with them.
Yeah. And even before the whole Notes app thing, before we were official, like 6 months in to talking, he just randomly asked me these questions. But he asked me if I think I met the person I'm going to marry. And every time he asks me these things randomly, I'm caught off guard. So I'm like, I don't know. Do you? Do you think so? And he like kind of chuckled and he's like, yeah, it's between two people. And then so like remembering that.
Why does he say that? I mean, it's kind
And
of
then
fucked up.
yeah, he said it kind of like a joke, I guess. I mean, we
I
weren't
that's not
talking about
that's definitely not
future
that's
by
definitely not
then.
something to joke about, considering how, you know, he hurt you
Right.
regarding his ex. I mean, I just think you have the right to be like that. That's not a joke. It's like, if you don't know the answer, fine. But like, putting me on the spot and then like fucking with me, like, I don't know. Like, he seems to want you to almost feel insecure in a way. That's the vibe he kind of gives with some of his actions.
In some ways,
Yeah.
yeah, in some ways. But yeah, that was before. That was like only in like 3 months into talking to him when he said that.
Oh,
So
that
we
was
weren't
before the
talking
Notes
about,
app. That was before the Notes.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, this was 3 months into talking. I wasn't bringing up any timeline, married, kids, anything. He was bringing those things up, and that's when he said that. And I mean, we weren't talking about our future yet, so it just kind of took me by surprise, but it's something to note now after knowing what ended up happening with the Notes app, that he was probably serious. He was probably serious.
yeah. There was definitely some truth to it. She was definitely lingering in his mind.
Hmm. One of his other concerns about me moving in is he does have his own business, and he works from home with his roommate. His roommate is his like he works for him. The roommate works for my boyfriend. So they're just kind of always in the living room working. So he was worried about like, the vibes being off and workflow being affected and all of this stuff, which are valid concerns. And we've talked about that. He's fine with that now.
That's just like
But
a logistic
those are,
thing, you know.
yeah. But his other concerns, like that he would mention afterwards, would be he would say, like, "Are you using me just to get to Miami?" Or he keeps saying, like, "Are you just gonna meet a billionaire and leave me?"
A billionaire.
Yeah. And then I mentioned, when I first get there, I brought up, like, I wanna get a job as soon as possible, like, I'll work at, a little restaurant or something at first until I can get an actual job in my career. But he's like, "No, you're not working at any of those places." He's like, "I'd rather just," he keeps mentioning even before I decided to move to Miami, he's like, "Come if when you come to Miami, I'm gonna get you an Equinox membership." Kept saying that, which I never even mentioned. I don't even have one. He doesn't have one. But yeah, he's like, I would rather you just stay home and not work, and I'll get you an Equinox membership, and you just stay home. You're not working at Moxie's or any restaurant like that.
I mean, listen, it sounds like you guys both have some insecurities about each other, and it sounds like you guys need to work on that. And I think you guys, have a way of poking each other and testing each other's insecurities and make each other feel more, it's just like if you're insecure, you see how he reacts, you poke the bear, and then you see if he reacts in the way you want. And that's not a healthy way of working through insecurities. The healthy way is saying, I'm a little insecure about this. I am a little insecure about, you coming to Miami and seeing, more, maybe more established, successful men like win you away from me. That's an honest thing. You have your own insecurities about like things he might, and you guys should be able to talk about that. And then the other person should be the one saying, listen, it's not how I feel. I really care about you, and you're the person I want to be with. You guys can't promise the future, but you can promise like you're the person I'm really committed to working on this with. And you guys have to both be vulnerable enough to know that like, yeah, like, relationships are a risk and you're risking your feelings. But you guys are testing each other in a way that it feels a little toxic, and and I think there's probably a healthier approach to you guys working through some of your insecurities. And it sounds like you both have some, as many people in relationships do. And I think you guys need to just do a better job of addressing those insecurities without poking the bear and testing the other person.
Yeah, definitely. More adult conversations.
Yeah.
Well, current day, so current day now he's being like I said, he knows it's a thing now that I'm going in 2 weeks. And he says he wants me there and he's ready to do that part of the relationship. And so he's been planning on going to the Super Bowl for a whole year now. And he's been telling me this for the whole year. He's been planning to go to the Super Bowl because he works in that field. So he's been planning to do that to network. And I just found out my move out date last month.
Okay.
When I have to be out of my friend's house. So I just found that out last month. And that's exactly when he would be going to the Super Bowl. But he was like, and then he's been super supportive and he said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to cancel going to the Super Bowl completely. And I'm going to come to New York, help you move out
And
your
like
stuff.
how and do you want him to? Is that an expectation you have? Did he already have tickets? Like, yeah, in this
So he just,
situation, I
yeah,
guess I don't know the right answer, and I don't think there's a bad answer. But I think the question is, could you move without his help? You're not moving. You're probably bringing a couple suitcases because, like you said, you're staying there. He might travel.
exactly. I'm not moving any stuff.
He might,
just clothes.
Or are you doing it to see if he's willing to do it for you as like a test of the relation? You know what I'm saying? It's stuff like that you guys have to try to avoid.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like if deep down he has tickets and he has plans and you don't mind him taking a trip to the boys' Super Bowl, then there's a world where you say, hey, listen, like obviously I would love your help and I appreciate your help, and if you don't really want to go to the Super Bowl, by all means, I could use the help, but I also I know you really want to go. And if this is something you want to do, like I can figure it out. It's not the end of the world. I have some friends, like my girlfriends, whatever. And we'll celebrate me like moving when you're back from the Super Bowl. Like, again, it's just about having the mature conversation without like using it as some sort of like everything isn't a test about how much you guys love or don't love each other. Like getting your partner to do something just because to prove it doesn't like do anything. Now, that being said, like if you really like deep down be like, I really need his help and I really, and like whatever, like you just have to like be honest with yourself about what you really need from your partner and what you don't need, and be willing to like know that they have friends and other things they want to do, and not everything they do without you is a threat to your relationship and how they feel about you. And like you guys have to like, focus on those kind of thoughts and feelings. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely. And I didn't ask him to do that. I didn't want him to do that. I already planned for my mom to come and help me, but he's the one that insisted on doing that.
And what did you say though?
I said, well, at first I was like, no, I can't let you do that. You've been planning this for a year. And then he's like, "You're my person. I want to be there for you. Like, I'm gonna do that." So I didn't push any further.
Okay. Well, I mean,
So he's yeah.
I'm not saying the right off, but there could have been a response be like, whether you go to the Super Bowl or not, I'm still your person and I really appreciate your offering, but like I will be okay. So like, you know, like you don't want to make someone do something you think they could resent in the future. You made me not go to the Super Bowl,
Yeah.
blah, 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 blah. You know, it's just like, just make sure he's not doing this because you kind of like low key guilted him into doing this. You know, it's like, oh, I didn't ask him, but like maybe you've made comments. I don't know. Like, you know, it's just like, you know how you guys communicate. I just think you should be supporting each other, you know, healthy, not passive aggressive comments and things like that. And it sounds like you guys have a way of, as many couples do, having a way of testing the other person when you guys are feeling insecure about where you guys stand. And I think there's a healthier ways to go about communicating your insecurities about things. And like lead by example, like do the thing for him that you want him to do for you. So if you want him to act securely attached, as they say when it comes to attachment styles, then you should lead by example in a sense, you know? If he's like, listen, I don't really want to go to the Super Bowl. It's not the end of the world. Yeah, I've been planning it, but like, honestly, my team lost and it's just like a bunch of money that honestly I'd rather save. And honestly, this could be a really exciting start for us and I really want to do this, then great. But like, just make sure he wants to do it and make sure like and you know, don't let him be like, what, you don't want me there? You know, it's like, no, of course I want you there. I just like, I know this is important to you and I know I can do this without you. And I don't want you to miss something from me that I, you know, of course I'd love your help. Of course it'd be better with you, but I just want to make sure that I'm not I don't want me moving to Miami to, you know, inconvenience you or stop you from doing the things that you want to do. And like, you know, this isn't some like random night out to the clubs that he didn't have planned. This is like something, as you say, he's been planning for a year. So
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, and I definitely need to have another convo with him about that. Because yeah, I feel guilty and I don't want him to resent me and I don't want him to that's a huge thing.
Yeah, we'll be okay. I know, like this, you going to the Super Bowl or not going to the Super Bowl doesn't change us being, you know, it doesn't change you not being my person. And I really appreciate your willingness to do that. And it means a lot that you would be willing to do that. But it's also like, I want you to go if you want to go and I'll be okay. And let's, you know, like there's other ways to celebrate that. It's just trying to have healthy conversations. The big thing is not testing each other in ways.
Yeah, absolutely. So now so now where we are again, he's saying like, we're 2 weeks away from what we wanted 6 months ago. I didn't picture us living with the roommate though, but like, I want you here and it's gonna be great. So now I'm getting that support that was kind of lacking in the beginning when I was asking him what he thinks about me making that choice. But I mean, again, I was more so asking him for concerns, not, the positives or I don't know. So I guess it's already a decision. So
But yeah, but your mindset and how you approach this will go a long way. Again, if don't put unnecessary pressure on the relationship that it doesn't need. Don't test it when it doesn't need to be tested. When you're feeling insecure, just address the insecurity and ask for his help rather than passive aggressively like throw out a question that has a right or wrong answer in your mind, and the right answer means he loves you, and the wrong answer means maybe he doesn't. You know, like. Try to avoid that.
the childish stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my one last question to you is, do you think that I was essentially the plan B?
No, probably not. I mean, I think it's very believable that this was a woman who was his first and only love. That fucks us all up when that happens. Maybe he never really got the closure he thought he had. And you entering his life kind of like made him wonder, like, and kind of he had some confused feelings about her. Usually, for example, like, I mean, that's not a one-for-one situation, but when Natalie and I were dating but not together, we were dating other people. We stopped talking at times, but like when there were times where I was like, I don't think I can date her and I need to move on from talking to Natalie. And so then I would try to date other people. That would just kind of make me miss Natalie, remind me of Natalie. And I think if this guy really had feelings for this other person, like he would almost kind of get not the ick from you, but like it would be harder and harder for him to develop feelings for you because of that comparison. If that makes sense. So I think I think there's a really good chance that he was confused about her. Maybe like wrote in the notes app and he had this idea and maybe never did anything with it. And yeah, maybe went out to LA and looked her up. And it's a very believable story he's telling you. Obviously, he went about in a way that like broke and violated your trust. But the way you talk, it sounds like you guys do have a lot of positive interactions and there's a lot of good things about this relationship. And put it this way, no one wants to feel like they're settling. So if he felt like you were a backup plan, I don't think he would be moving forward with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not just you or her in this world. If he felt like you weren't enough to get over her, I think he would move on from you.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I don't think you're a
Okay.
backup plan to her. I think you're just she's part of his story, and we all have a story. You have a past, and that was him processing that loss. But I do think he probably could mature a little bit in how he processes loss. And he probably has some lingering hurt from how that all went down. But I don't think that means he's in love with her or misses her or thinks she's the one.
Yeah, there's a separate thing though. His roommate's a little younger. He's a little insecure. He's a little younger. He's on the heavier side. He feels like he can't really get girls, his roommate, the guy that works for him.
Okay.
And so my boyfriend has told me that he occasionally hires prostitutes, hookers, and that they have came to the apartment. My boyfriend was sleeping. He wouldn't have known. He finds out later, but then, yeah. And my boyfriend assured me that would never happen if I'm living there. But I'm like creeped out by that whole thing.
That's fair. I mean,
Side note, prior to becoming official, like 4 months into talking to my boyfriends, we were talking and he was telling me about um, the previous job he had where he was working for someone still in the same like sports industry, and they were, on an island somewhere, and they were with like basketball players and everything, and they hired a bunch of, I don't even know what I could say on this podcast. They hired a bunch of prostitutes, right?
mm-hmm.
And my boyfriend was there, and this was I guess like 5 years ago probably. He was 22, and I kind of got it out of him. He was at my house. I kind of got it out of him. I was like, "Did you sleep with one?" Like, you could tell me. I kind of gaslit him into it. You could tell me I'm not going to think of you any differently. Like, did you sleep with one? And he kept saying no, no, no. Then I again gaslit him into it. I was like, "I know you did." And then finally he admitted. He was like, "Fine, one." He did one, and like I threw my pillow at him and like kind of kicked him out of my house, and I was like, "That's disgusting." And I needed a couple days to think about it, like, because my morals, that was just disgusting. So that was before we were even official, but so that was one of the things that happened. So those between those two things are the only things that have went wrong so far. But another one of my concerns is he travels a lot for work. And he like when he travels, he stays in hotels with his roommate and his other coworker who also dabbles in that kind of thing, like on the regular.
I mean, listen, it definitely is gross. Do you trust your boyfriend? Not an ideal situation, but like, as you're not planning on staying there, and let that reality be the fact that like makes you not get too comfortable playing roommates with your boyfriend and his roommate, and get your own place as soon as possible. But like, make it clear. It's just like, obviously you living with your boyfriend with a guy roommate, regardless of his appetite for sex workers, isn't ideal regardless, right? So in the meantime, you could, politely ask for him not to do that and have your boyfriend try to enforce that. And hopefully your boyfriend recognizes that, like, if he is going to have his girlfriend like move in with his roommate, then he needs to create an atmosphere and environment that she feels safe, and that's part of, I think that's a fair expectation for you to have. you're going to have to ask yourself if this is a reflection of who he is today, or is it like, did he do something gross and learn from it? Put it this way. If he was my roommate, I'd been like, dude, do what you want. You can't do that shit here.
Because he's the boss too of.
Yeah, he could probably. Yeah, I would. If I'm you, I would expect him to put a stop to it.
Yeah, but the thing is too. Yeah, they like when they travel for work. He has a bunch of.
He can't get his own hotel room.
He does. He shares usually a hotel room with his roommate. Why not save money and whatever? But
save money and not hire a prostitute.
Yeah, he says that the roommate and the other worker doesn't hire prostitutes during those times. I guess I just have to trust him because he does travel a lot for work, all different sorts of places, and he stays in these hotels. And it's just, I never would have thought he was that type of guy. So in my mind, it's kind of like, yes, he was 22, but you've done it once. And then you are surrounding yourself with people that continue to do it. Like,
that's a little bit of a red
and they
flag.
go to the casino and drink and everything too after work. Like, so it's like, I mean, I guess, I don't know.
I don't think you fully trust your boyfriend the way you would hope to.
Is that something that time will build? Or
more like communication? I don't, I think if you feel like somebody doesn't trust you, people go out of your way to like be transparent and open so that it makes it easy for people to trust you. If he should care that like that bothers you to the point where he's showing you that it doesn't bother you anymore.
Do you think it's concerning?
I think there's some red flags with that behavior. Yeah, for sure. I don't think him doing it 5 years ago is the end of the world or whatever it was when he was 22. I think it's a little weird that he's pretty casual about his roommate bringing sex workers over. Yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
he said it happened like once.
Okay, well, do you believe that?
I mean, I don't know what to believe because I'm like, where does he find them? Because I know there's these websites and the apps or whatever. My boyfriend just says, I don't know. So he doesn't tell me extra information.
Listen, there's definitely some red flags with it, but I don't think I think you just have to ask more questions, and I think you guys have to communicate better. And I think right now, I think you guys are a little bit more passive aggressive in your communication rather than just direct and vulnerable. You're like always trying to like figure out the right way to ask, and you guys test each other, and you can just be like, listen, that bothers me. But again, like just try not to do the whole like, it's fine, I won't judge you, and then freak out, like you have to find a way to be like, I would really like you to be honest with me, and I feel like you did that, and can we just talk about it? And like a great way to like get trust in a relationship is to say like, listen, I can't promise that you might upset me and I might upset you. And we have to be okay with allowing each other from time to time to upset the other person. And then, the other person can't just flip out and name call whatever. You can get mad and be like, I'm really upset with you right now, but like, you're going to have to allow me to be angry, but I'm not leaving you and I'm not like going to name call you. And like, let's see if we can work through this. I'm not saying it's but like when you do the thing that's like, hey, you can trust me, you can tell me anything. And then he tells you the truth. And then you do exactly the opposite you promised him. You're not setting a healthy precedent or a lane for him to be honest with you in the future. That's when you get the whole like, well, I didn't tell you the truth because I didn't want to upset you, but you have the right to be upset, but how you handle those emotions, like, it's like, you got to find a healthier balance to like for you guys to communicate your frustrations and work through your frustrations without triggering the other person. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good luck with the move. Again, like you're moving. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. It's just it's a part of your life. He is a big part of the reason why you're moving. He's not the only reason. Whether you guys end up together won't be because you're destined together or what you guys promise each other today. It'll be the work you guys put into it. And whether you guys are willing to work through whatever like incompatibilities or insecurities you have. And are you guys prioritizing, making the other person feel less anxious more than more anxious? Are you going out of your way to calm them rather than trigger them? Are you, and things like that, and then hoping the other person does the same thing. That's what will matter. It won't be, some of the stuff that you guys are focusing on right now.
Definitely. I guess we're just going to have to see how it goes.
All right. Well,
Thank
take
you
care.
so much, Nick.
My pleasure. Good
Thank
luck.
you.
Keep us posted how it all
Thank
goes.
you.
All right.
All right, definitely will.
All right,
Okay,
bye-bye.
bye.
Hey guys, if you loved what you listened to, make sure you hit that subscribe button below. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.